We return now to the 11th hour race to fund the federal government and avoid a shutdown. A short time ago, I spoke with Republican Senator Mike Rounds of South Dakota. A key question facing Republicans: will they support a short-term solution if it passes the House? Senator Mike Rounds, thank you very much for joining us. If the House of Representatives goes ahead and passes a short-term spending measure tonight and it goes to the Senate, are you prepared to vote for it?
Not until we know what's in their proposal. If it's a proposal that they've offered earlier, which was until February 26th, then I think we've got a problem with it, just in terms of the impact that it has on the Department of Defense. We've been asking for some assurances that the Department of Defense would be able to move forward with their contractual obligations, that they would be able to move forward with some of their readiness issues and their ability to actually repair some of their equipment using some funds that we've already appropriated for this next year, but has not yet been adopted by the full Senate. So right now, what we're saying to our leadership is look, we want to get to yes on this, but until you can at least provide us some evidence that we're doing the right thing for the Department of Defense, there are several of us that are no votes on the Republican side. At the same time, if there is a shorter-term CR, and I think there's a possibility of that as well, if that comes in, it's a little bit easier for us to provide leadership with an opportunity to try to get to a longer-term solution in terms of finishing out the rest of the year with an omnibus bill, which is what we're really after.
Are you saying that if it's a short-term measure, that they were to come back in just a few days rather than a month, that there might be the ability to get some of these things done that you and others would like to see get in there?
I think so. And let me explain just my logic on this. First of all, I think there's a number of us who would like to keep the heat on for getting an omnibus completed, which is basically using the new appropriations that we're trying to fund and also the new authorizations that provides the Department of Defense and other agencies with more up-to-date information. But second of all, if we do a short term, it means for the Democrats, they may very well have an interest in, or at least they may very well see it as an opportunity to work with the President of the United States in terms of putting together a final border security arrangement, including addressing the DACA issues. For me, it means the visas, the HB2 visas that we need in South Dakota for our businesses during the tourist season that we've already run out of. So there's a number of items that could be addressed if we do a short term. And one of the reasons why we talk about it is we've got the State of the Union coming up, and a lot of that would be great information to be able to provide and a real chance for the President to celebrate some victories.
Well, I guess my question is that sort of really short-term possibility a real prospect here? Because I understand from Republican leaders in the Congress, they're saying, no, we're not going to do that.
And that is their position right now. They would like to do a 30-day, and we understand that. We're just not sure whether or not Democrats would agree to that, and they really do control it in the Senate, regardless of whether or not those of us who are defense hawks, whether or not we decide to vote for this as the best alternative or not. Right now, I'm a no vote. I've told them I'm still open for discussion based upon what alternatives they can provide us for the Department of Defense. But there are Democrats here who, if they vote no, we will not get to the 60-vote margin. And so they really do control it at this stage of the game.
Well, let me ask you about what the President's role in this. Early this morning, the President tweeted that he was upset because the Children's Health Insurance provision, CHIP, was not in there for a longer period of time, which is what he wanted. And then the White House later seemed to pull that back. What is your understanding of the President's position on all this?
I think he's pointing out that what kind of a bargain is it where you could do a 26-day extension or whatever, or a 30-day extension, and in return for that, you give away one of the most powerful bargaining chips, which is the extension of CHIP for a long period of time.
But I guess my point is that the President made a statement in a tweet, and then the White House clarified it back in the other direction. Meantime, you have your own Republican Majority Leader in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, who said yesterday, I'm looking for something that President Trump supports. He has not yet indicated what measure he's willing to sign, and he said, as soon as we figure out what he's for, he said, then we can move ahead. Is it your sense that the president's being helpful in all this?
Does it make it more challenging? Yes, it does. But it also means that he's really trying to stay in touch with his base. And sometimes if he doesn't have all the facts right available to him, or if he's looking at data and he doesn't realize that there's been additional movement in his direction, then we do have some problems that develop. So far, I think he's moving in the right direction. I think he could make his job easier if he'd maybe not tweet as much, and if he'd stand more in communication with the leadership here and make the deals, get them done, and then tweet about the successes afterwards.
Senator, just finally, just continuing in that vein, this will be, if it passes, it'll be the fourth short-term spending measure this Congress has passed, and you have a Republicans in charge of the House and the Senate and the White House. How do you explain this?
In the Senate, it takes 60 votes. We don't have 60 votes. So while we may have a majority, we don't have a working majority, which in this case is defined by 60 Republicans. We've got 51. You need 60 to get anything on the floor of the Senate. So Democrats control that part of it. But the second part is this. This is not a new problem. And this is one of the reasons why I have a very difficult time supporting these short-term continuing resolutions. We have, in the last 44 years, actually made the appropriations process work the way that it's supposed to 4 times. And now, in 2018, if you take a look at the amount of the total budget that we actually vote on, even if we were to pass all 12 appropriation bills and do it before October 1st, would amount to about 28% of the entire budget that we actually spend, because Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and interest on the debt are not included in this omnibus proposal or in the appropriations bill. That's all on autopilot.
Well, it's quite a process for the American people to watch.
It has to be fixed. That's what we're talking about. It has to be fixed.
Senator Mike Rounds of South Dakota, thank you very much.
Thank you.